We are live. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Leo, and I'm with one of my best friends, Joe Morgan from Sac Sports Nation. Last night, we witnessed one of the best moments in the past 13 years, Joe. Just talk about that real quick, and what type of emotions were you going through?
I actually still feel bad. I jumped up and down and yelled so much that my dog was actually afraid of me for like an hour.
My
Like
voice still hurts.
I have a 10-month-old German Shepherd, and he's never seen Dad act like that, so he was kind of he was a little skittish for like the next time. I go, dude, I'm not gonna beat you. The Kings won. I'm in a good mood.
Right,
But
and honestly, I told people this. It was like a mini confession, and I hate to admit it, but my eyes got teary because all these flashbacks came right before my eyes when Robert Ory hit that shot in 2002, Game Four. And but obviously, this is more on the positive
dude,
end with
yeah,
like
it's been all downhill since then.
right, but that just shows like how much of a fan I am and how much of a fan I forgot I was. Now with being in this industry and covering the team professionally for a few years now, and you kind of can't be a homer in some sense and always try to be objective and all that. But in that moment, it was a moment for Sacramento. It was a
Well,
moment for all Kings fans. And, even the Stephen A. Smiths and the Skip Baylesses, he's a Knicks fans and the guys, I don't know what he is, a Spurs fan, but you always have your favorite team, and I grew up loving this team. And the last night was just an awesome moment, man.
look, for the entire time that I've been trying to do this whole podcasting, radio, whatever, people have always said, "Oh, you can't be a fan of the team. You have to be a general NBA fan. You have to not be excited." And you're like, "Dude, you watch that shot. If you have a pulse in your body, you
Right.
can't not jump up and down." Like I don't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I have a team that I enjoy watching. Like whatever. If people don't like that, I guess whatever. Turn it off then. Go watch somebody else. Go watch one of these dead people who just reports the news. And in other news, the Sacramento Kings won in the last second. You know what? Shut up, dude. If you're not yelling, then you're not really in the NBA. Like, how do you not enjoy that? That was an outstanding ending to an outstanding game. Come back from that deficit to then make that last second shot. And the best part is, and we'll get into Bogey a lot more in a minute, but how every one of his like draft profile things, how all of the time they're talking about he can't make his own shot. That was always like his big number one drawback that people were worried about. Well, he made his own shot yesterday. Like he created his own opportunity yesterday.
No, yeah, and it's funny you say that because he actually ranks amongst the best in one-on-one and finishing and perimeter shooting. Like he is an elite guy in those categories, and we'll go over that in a bit. But yesterday when we asked him, if he thought if if he thought he'd make that shot, he pretty much said, "I've done this my whole career in Europe. Like this is nothing new. If you prepare yourself, you never have to be ready. Like if you put the work in and you have the confidence, it's going to go in." And honestly, I knew that shot was in as soon as it left his
Oh,
hands. Like
bro, as soon as it
you just
was
saw
in the
it.
air. But
Yeah.
the like the draft profiles, I'm actually looking at one right now because I always love going back in time and looking at people and what they thought. Lacks a quick first step, needs screens and off the ball to create space and beat his defender. No, he didn't need a screen. No,
No.
like no, that actually worked out pretty
But
well.
be right. But to be fair, they use that garbage take on most Europeans, right?
Oh, yeah, I'm not knocking who wrote this. This is a good scouting report for 3 years ago. I mean, it is what it is. Like, there's no.
Yeah, I just hate
First off,
those
he's
things
developed.
because many people that write these reports value athleticism over craftiness, basketball IQ, and that's what these guys have, like Bielitsa's, Bogies, Lukas of the world, the Joe Ingles of the world. Like they're not Ben McLemore in terms of athleticism, but when you have that type of feel for the game and that type of balance, like I trust Bielitsa to drive more than Willie, Harry, and Scout combined. Like Bielitsa is under control. He knows what the hell he's doing, and it just shows like he doesn't have to jump 50 inches in the air to like accomplish the thing
No,
he has to do. And all these guys just know how to play the game very well. And Mark Cuban said, "I'm sending my kids to Slovenia." Like
yeah,
they know how to
Bro,
teach the game of basketball the right way.
Polish these kids. Don't get me wrong. Part of that is because they start them at an ungodly young age, and you're working with grown men when you're like 15, and maybe that's not okay here in the land where we can't do that and get away with that. But it works. It works. They come over here polished, and we're actually talking offline, not on this show, but we've been talking about that whole G League path and how that's going to work, and the European path is a whole nother thing, and these kids are coming over here polished and ready to rock. And yeah, everybody was talking about last year how Bogey's the highest paid rookie in the history of the NBA and this and that. Dude, he's not a rookie. You can call him. I mean, yes, he's not a sophomore in the league right now. He's been a pro for a while, and he's been a high level pro for a while. Yes, it's not the NBA that he played in except for the last year and a half, but he's not some kid. He's been playing a while. He's been playing well. And that shot last night shows that poise, shows that confidence that, hey, I can make the big shot. Because it wasn't – I can't tell you what was inside the kid's head, but he didn't look scared. This is my shot. I'm taking this shot. And it wasn't a question. He put it up. He knew it was in. The fans knew it was in. In the video you guys put out, there's a dude who puts his hands up as soon as the ball's out. Before the rest of the arena sees it, a guy who knows basketball goes, dude, that's it. That's it. That's like it. And when you watch that, you can tell. I mean, it's just he has that confidence. He has that polish that most young guys don't have. And again, I mean, he's got a couple years on these kids, but still, there's something to be said for that polish that the European League is putting out. And hey, maybe Mark Cuban can afford to send his kids wherever he wants.
That guy that had his hands up reminded me of Dante Green when Tyreek shot that shot. Remember that?
Unbelievable. That shot from Tyreek, though. See, there's not many things that the Kings have had to like be happy about in a long time. And those type of things where somebody makes one from distance, it felt different because this is on a season where they're winning.
Right. Like the situation and the context and the importance of this shot is much more relevant than that year where the Kings were awful.
It still feels good when they do stuff.
No,
like
yeah.
That. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it feels different this time. And I'm a positive person. I always believe that this is the one, this is the turnaround moment. And actually 2 years ago when we were still at Arco and they were playing, there was a game against Charlotte that went to like double overtime. I think it was the Hornets. And it went to double overtime. And in that moment, and I was in the building and I said, well, there's that. That's the end of – because there was like an 8 seed. They were right there. And that moment broke that team. And this moment probably made this team. And I know it sounds like overly – one moment doesn't make a season. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah, it does. And those kind of moments are rare for a Kings team that hasn't had them in a while. And I really believe, and I was going to send you a text earlier. We were chatting and then something got in the way of it because I have kids and golf and, all the fun stuff I deal with. But I was going to send a text that if they can pull this same thing off Sunday, if they can win Sunday, I think they really will make the playoffs this year. Because if they can do it two times in a row, especially if LeBron comes back, I'm actually hoping he comes back to play against them. Because if they can pull that off, if they can hold that, then they're real. And there have been a couple times this year where I've had that feeling where they're real right now. It's not a fluke. It's not. I mean, we're coming into January, bro.
Right.
And they're above 500. Like that's what? What? Am I in the right building? What is happening right now? That can't be right.
And I don't like to do these things, but I went on a limb. Most of it because I was super excited, but I pretty much said, book it. The Kings are making the playoffs. But to your point of if LeBron plays, I'll be honest, I still have to be objective. To me, the Lakers and the Clippers are pound for pound better teams than the Kings right now. And if you add LeBron to what they had yesterday, I don't think the Kings will compete. But that's not a bad thing. That just shows. No. Yeah,
bro, he's a great player. Like, what do you?
Yeah,
like,
right.
If you
talking
add
about
the best player in the league to a game, yeah, it changes the outcome a little bit. But that's the point. That if they can hold on to that, I mean, they stayed with the Warriors till the last couple of minutes. They're staying with teams. They're playing against teams. They're not losing games that you would have thought preseason if we'd have had this conversation and said, well, here, and here, what do you think is going to happen? and they're holding it. They're winning them. It's not again, it's not a fluke. They're looking good, and they're looking good as a team. And I have some mathematics to share later that prove why they're a good team, because it's not just objective. Like, I mean, I always get the field test. Oh, they feel good here, they look good
Right.
there, but numbers like, dude, they're I have to look it up, but assists, bro, they're like they're in the top couple guys. Where is it? They're sixth in the league with 25.49 assists per game. What does that say? That says they're not selfish. They're not holding on to it. They're giving it to each other. They're playing as a team, which that is worth so much more than one guy being amazing, which is also happening. Don't get me wrong, which is also happening. But they're sharing. They're being a part of a team.
So when you talk about sharing, when you look at top 10 guys in usage rate, De'Aaron Fox is 63rd at 24.1. Buddy Hield is 66th at 24. And then you got Bogey all the way at 96th at 22.6. So it just shows, just to, you know, validate your point, that these guys really do share the ball. There isn't
it's not a one-man show. It's not a James Harden, which I love watching him.
Who is number one? Who is number one in usage rate?
Yeah, don't at all say that I don't like, you know, he's in my DFS lineup almost every day. If he's on the roster, he's there. But at the same time, these kids are doing it as a team, and that's so much more fun to watch. And they're growing together. They have a couple more years with the same roster, and hopefully longer. This could really get real. Like, this could actually be something where fans start coming back and saying, hey, these guys, it always, whenever the Kings play well, it makes me think of the movie Major League, where they like start taking the bags off their heads. They're like, hey, these guys aren't that bad. And that's the feeling that most people are having around, not only around Sacramento, which is outstanding, but around the league, where you see objective people starting to come around on the team. You see guys who don't like the Kings, who think it is a small market cow pasture, and they're like, hey, these kids are tightening it up. They're looking really good. And it's nice to see those guys come around, because it's easy on a local level to see a shot like last night and be like, yeah, they're doing great. But when you see, what'd you say earlier, Stephen A. Smith type people, where he doesn't have any invested interest in this team. He doesn't care if they do good. And they're turning around on this team, and they're saying that it's going well. P.S., not to totally monologue here, but where'd all those guys go that said Vlade's vision was horrible?
Right.
I mean, hey, is it coming together? That doesn't look half bad. I mean, I'm trying to, honest to God, like, be objective and not, I mean, I've always thought he was doing a good job, and it's finally starting, like, the picture he was drawing is starting to come together, and you're not getting any of that chatter anymore about, oh, worst front office in the league. There's still a few things that could probably be, you know, swept up, but it's looking a lot better all around. As a whole purple circle, it's starting to look a lot better.
So let's move on to the deep analytics. And these analytics that I got him from is one of the best in the business, in Cranjismic Basketball, who is a Laker guy, but his new website, if you guys haven't checked it out, it's Basketball Index, and it's a website where you can pay for services, just like Cleaning the Glass and all these analytical websites. And he does share a lot of the stuff on Twitter, and he shared the strengths of the Kings yesterday, and as he said, one of his favorite guys in the league in Bogdan Bogdanovic. And last year, he was a guy, I know many Kings fans know him. He's not a huge De'Aaron Fox fan, but I'm sure a lot of people weren't De'Aaron Fox fans last season, and he's really turning around, and he's changed how people perceive him now, because he can play make, he can shoot, and those are, you know, liabilities last season, and now they're strengths of his. But let's talk about Bogey real fast. The top categories for him is perimeter shooting, which is a B, and it's a 68th percentile, which is pretty good. But where he excels is off-ball movement, which again shows how the Europeans know and understand how to move and just how to play this game and have a feel. And that's where guys like Ben McLemore struggle, moving without the ball, knowing where to be, stuff like that. And Bogey's one of the best. He's an A-, 82 percentile. And then one-on-one, as you guys saw yesterday, he's an 86 percentile. Again, A-, just excellent. And then finishing, he's a great finisher at 86 percentile, A-. Playmaking and post play, both A minuses. Joe, real quick, just recap that and what does that mean?
Well, going down the list, perimeter shooting, depending on what position he's at, is where he grades out. So he has on there the numbers for, grade among filter and knocking it down to where he's at. So if you call him a small forward, which is what we're going to play him as, I guess,
he's a wing.
Shooting guard and small forward. But I mean, shooting guard and small forward have minor differences, and they're not a lot, but they exist. Even on a scouting list of what you're looking for, like creating space, there's different pieces that, I mean, you're talking about millimeters, but those millimeters are the difference between winning a game and losing a game by 1 point, like last night. I mean, those are the differences. And you see something like interior defense. Well, what do you expect him to do? I mean, perimeter defense is not playing very well at his defense, and that's, man, I could go on and on about the defense of this team, but specifically, his number on that is what 26.5%. He's in the 26th percentile, 27th percentile,
which is bad,
which is a D. And then among and bear with me, I don't know what filter he applied here, among wings with 500 minutes played, I guess. Okay, so yeah, among other wings, he's the 4th percentile, 4.6. I'm not gonna take away that extra 3 dudes that he beat, But I mean, that's rough, dude. He's getting an F in perimeter defense, and if he doesn't tighten that up, I mean, that's it doesn't matter if you score 100 if the other team scores 101. It doesn't. I mean, it's great that you're shooting well and you're shooting above average on almost every metric that we can pull out. I mean, I'm looking at 3 or 4 different sheets here. All of his shooting stats are above average. All of his, I mean, he's getting A's and B's in all of the positive offensive categories. Now you come to the defensive categories and you kind of look at it and you're like, okay.
But that's like mostly all guards on the team. Even De'Aaron Fox can't play
this is among
defense
wings.
all game long. I mean, De'Aaron Fox is the best player on the team. He has a larger role where he has to facilitate, run the team, and score. So you don't expect James Harden to play great defense because he does so much on offense. And that's why, for me, I give De'Aaron Fox a pass when it comes to not being consistent in the eyes of many Kings fans on defense. And when you're Patrick Beverley and Avery Bradley and your sole role is to play defense, then you should be good at it. But when you're De'Aaron Fox, you have a lot of bigger roles.
At this point, we're nitpicking, but we're nitpicking because they're getting good enough to start nitpicking. I mean, you need to. You can't to make the 8 seed, you can be good at one or the other. To make the 4 seed, to make the 3 seed, to have a shot at ever really. I'm not talking about this year. I'm not talking about fixing it in the next month and hoping that. But if you have long-term success in this league, you have to tighten down on the things that you are getting an F or a D at. And perimeter defense is a fairly important thing. You're never going to beat the Warriors long-term with no perimeter defense. That doesn't matter. Like what else you do, I don't care. I don't care if you get every rebound. Sorry, dude, they're still going to beat you if you don't stop.
That's why this team needs a legitimate starting small forward, not a role player, because they have plenty of those guys, but they need a guy that can start and be a well-respected player in the NBA. Would you agree?
Yeah. Well, yeah, but again, like, where does that come from? Where do you buy one of those at? Can we take them down to IKEA and put one together? Like, what? I mean, where do you get that guy? Sure, yeah, of course, I'd love to have a more permanent A+. Give me Kawhi. Let's see what happens. You know what I mean? Yeah, of course. But reality is, I mean, you got the pieces you got, and there isn't. Don't get me wrong. There's money in the offseason, but who's coming to Sacramento? And let me narrow this down. 25, 26-year-old and younger, long-term contract. Who's coming here? Who do you see that would fill that?
Would you like to see Otto Porter?
I've said yes for so long that I want to say yes right now, but
he fits everything you're talking about. Young,
and I agree with you. I do, but have you seen how he's been playing the last little bit? Like, I mean,
would you say
how long do you pay him for when you're not
organization? Would you say it's more a situation where the Wizards are a hot mess right now?
Yeah, that's a pretty accurate way to say that. So today, actually, about an hour ago, 2 hours ago, I guess, God, time flies. We recorded our DFS show. I do a DFS show with Vince, and Washington is my target today because They are some kind of special. You can get a lot of cheap players on that team because they are not doing well. But again, it's because guys like him aren't doing well. So the younger, the cheaper players can come out and play. But Otto would probably do well out here. It's always scary when you have a team that's finally doing well to add a new piece that wasn't there before, because you always get that, oh, I hope this gels. And are you willing to pay a certain amount of money for a piece that you're not 100% sure is going to fit in the dynamic that you have? I think you will, but I'm always nervous about throwing new stuff into something that works.
I think it's different when you add to what you have and when you have to give up certain things to add that new piece. So if they would magically just add him, that would be the perfect fit and great for the organization. But if they would have to get rid of some other pieces to get him, then that's where I would get scared. But
because I don't know a single piece that I want to get rid of that's a serious that's worth trading.
Right. And so Cranges also went out and said the other picture that I sent you, it's the strengths of the entire team, which is wing finishing, again, 93.5, team perimeter shooting, 93.5, big offensive rebounding, which is surprising to me at 90.3, because as you guys know, we have a lot of inconsistent bigs on this team. And then the wing offensive rebounding at 77.4, and then guard perimeter defense, which is not bad, right, at 77.4. But again, if you are looking to compete in the West and get your 8th seed, then you need to improve. And yeah, we have to nitpick at these guys.
So the guard perimeter defense is above the 50 percentile, but the wings are not. And that's where the issue, and we just went over that. The interior defense, I don't know how wings are doing so well, but that's kind of interesting.
Right.
And the bigs and the guards are doing well at finishing, which again, like you just said, didn't see that with our bigs, but hey, it is what it is. I mean, the numbers don't lie.
There's always context, right, to these things. Just yesterday on that dunk that De'Aaron just slammed down, I literally had to watch that play 6 times before I saw why he had such an opening lane. It was because they ran a Spain pick and roll where Bogdanovic screened Zubats, which allowed Willie to screen Lonzo, which then allowed and gave Fox a wide open lane for that dunk. It's just like the small things that at first you don't notice and you're like, oh shit, like that really just happened.
People watch that play and they give the credit to Fox, and the credit, don't get me wrong, it's an amazing play, and I don't have the athletic ability to fly through the air and do, but that's not who makes that play. When you watch the NFL, it's easier to see this because you can move the X's and O's a lot easier if you break each play down individually. And so you'll notice some wide receiver goes, on a post fly or a post pattern and makes a touchdown. They're like, yeah, go him. But they don't notice the tight end who pulled the guy off of him, or they don't notice the block that allowed the quarterback to do it. And those are the pieces. And the NBA, because it never stops, a lot of people don't know that there are plays, that there are, it's more of a fluid play because it's not a third down, you're doing this. It's more of a, hey, I see this opening, I'm going to go left. And when they start moving together as, again, the synergy, I hate using words like that because they're so cliche, but when they move as one organism and they move together with the ebb and flow, you'll see plays like that where 2 different screens happen to get a guy open to make that dunk. And the crowd goes wild and everybody's happy about the dunk. But those extra 2 pieces are who should get, I don't want to say should get the credit. Everyone should get the credit. It's an outstanding, it's fun to watch, but that's where you win ball games, is those little moves that nobody sees, is being in position for the rebounds, which I need to get into. Actually, I am so impressed with 2 things this year. They are rebounding better, which doesn't seem like a thing that the eye test doesn't say so, but the numbers do. And then turnovers, bro. They've stopped their sieve-like turnover dumping. I lost all my numbers because they're 9th in the league, only giving up 13.5 turnovers a game. Last year, 2 years ago, they were in the 20s. They were last in the league. They were horrible. It's outstanding to watch.
Wow.
That is where you win ball games, is not giving away free points. One more turnover yesterday, one more mistake. That's 1 point. That's the difference. And rebounds, bro, they're getting 44.29 a game. 44.29. And I don't have the number of where that puts them
that
in the
ranks
league.
them 18th overall, which again, I think they
No,
were
but comparative
last,
to
right?
the eye test, when you're watching it, you think they're ranking last because it never looks like they're coming, but they are. They're coming up with them, and that's outstanding.
So I think last year they were what, 29th?
Yes, 29th, 30th. You know, they're in
So
the
major improvement, and that's all we can ask for from a team that's this young. And then
well, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that that's a great thing. If you're the number 2 seed, you should be pissed with 44 a game. But when you were last in the league or second to last in the league last year, that's a hell of an improvement. These guys are making leaps and bounds. The difference between Fox last year and Fox this year is amazing. The difference between Willie last year and Willie this year, although there's still some, stuff that I would like to, but the improvement. People are mad because he's not DeMarcus. People are mad because he's not, pick a name, Embiid, whoever. Willie has improved steadily every time. He's not who they want him to be, but he's still moving forward. And that's the same with all these guys. They're making improvements, and that rebounding is a huge improvement from last year. Those turnovers are a insane improvement in 1 year. And if you do that again by next year, now look at the rankings. Now tell me where they are. Hey, is that possible to continue? I don't know. But the trajectory is there. And that's what I'm excited about, is watching the arc happen.
Right. And I appreciate you nitpicking things, and it goes back to that. We can't be complacent with the good things that they're doing. Like Bogey, again, as you stated, he's doing great in most offensive categories. But when you talk about his defense and just the overall team defense, they do rank 28th in the league, and that's awful. Pretty much dead last.
Yeah, no, it's horrible.
But then they're fifth in the league in points per game at 115.3, but they're allowing 116.7, and it's crazy, right? When there's a minus differential, but you still have a winning record. Where is the disparity coming from?
Well, they can't stop anybody on the way. Okay, shooting wings and 27th in the league stopping shooters. Scoring wings, though, actually they're doing really well there. Strangely, they're at the midway point. They can't stop shooters, but they can stop people from driving on them. How that is, why that is, I don't know. Maybe they need to push higher, go over screens instead of under them. I mean, that's all for trainers. That's all for. I can nitpick it, but without pulling synergy up in front of me and actually running numbers specific to specific plays. But again, that's something that I'm sure the film crew is actually breaking down with them. But
Right.
who they can't stop, where they're losing a lot of it to me is people who can distribute the ball well. They can't seem to stop that. And why? Again, I don't know. Again, are you needing to stop the guys from being open? Is that the reason that you're losing it? Probably. So again, do you need to go over the screen instead of under it, and then trust that your bigs are going to stop them underneath? Maybe.
Trust.
Yeah,
Trust is big time, because there is me being there every game. Sometimes on the floor, you listen to the communication from your bigs to your guards, and honestly, losing a guy like Garrett Temple really hurt them, because he was great at communicating. And it just, Willie, we can't expect Willie to be X player. He doesn't do a great job at communicating because he relies too much on his instincts and his athletic ability, which is fine. But when you are the anchor of that team, and that's one of his biggest knocks, right? Being that anchor that we all want him to be. And again, Willie's going to be Willie, and he's going to show up at times and just be great. And you're like, oh my gosh, why can't he do this every game? Because that's not him. That's not who he is. That's not who he was meant to be. And I've always said this: if Willie is your first big coming off the bench, you are an elite team. And if he has to start for you, then you may be a playoff team, or an above average team, but you'll never be elite.
Yeah, you're never going to get any jewelry on your hands.
Right.
And I say never. Let me retract that.
Unless you have
but I mean, people make leaps and bounds. Clearly, it's happened
Right.
on this team. So he could wake up tomorrow and rededicate himself to a few of these things, because I have had this conversation with you. I've had this conversation with 20 other people. The difference between the best guy in the league and the worst guy in the league is 1%. The difference between an all-star and a sixth man is 1. Because at this point they've already been pared down from 10 million high schoolers to a million college guys to now what, 600 guys that are actually playing in the league.
That's
Not
true.
even. I mean, I say 600, that's including D-League contracts. That's including, like, the difference is that. And so could he make that corner? Yeah, it doesn't take anything. It's an effort level. It's that one last percent. It's that one more little piece of gas that you got to throw on there. And I pray that he makes it, because then you could have him. But right now, with the way he's playing right now, no, you're not getting any jewelry with him as your starting center. You're just not. Um,
And to
it's
be
just that just
fair,
is the
he had
reality.
a very good season in comparison to his previous 3 years. So let's give him credit. He's had about 5 really bad games, 5 so-so games, and about 20 good games. Let's just be
Yeah.
honest.
No, he's playing really well. Willie's one of those guys who's very hard to like, because he puts his foot in his mouth sometimes, and it turns the fans off. And there is something to be said for being able to shut up and play. And I think that's a skill that is also, he's last in the league and shut up and play, and he needs to figure that out. Knowing that he's motivated by money doesn't bother me, because you offered me $100 million, hell, I'll get some rebounds too. Like, like, if I got to break the guy's legs next to me, I'm getting the rebound. You give me $100 million, somebody's limping the hell out of here. Like, it is what it is. But so I get it. I get why he's saying it, and I get at least what I believe he meant. And I don't take it as negatively as a lot of people. But when you say those kind of things, it makes people not trust you. And I don't know if that applies to the team. I don't know if that bothers them. And if it does, if it even 1% bothers one other guy on the team, and that messes with your dynamic as a whole, that's a problem. So I don't know. I could ramble on that all day, because I'm a feelings guy. Like, I think that the feelings of the team. We've talked before about how one of my favorite guys 2-3 years ago was Omri Caspi. I like that guy. I like I like the guy who comes in and looks like he's going to bleed before he leaves. And Willie's not that dude yet. Now, can he be? Yeah, I mean, I guess he can. Anybody can turn into a pit bull overnight. Somebody needs to feed him some kibble and get his ass.
Right.
Sorry, I don't mean to cuss on your show, but you know what I mean? Like, they need to get him down. Like, they need to become that pit bull. You're the big man underneath. You got to be the big, scary presence. And you hit communication earlier. Shoot, move, and communicate. You'll notice behind me all my military stuff. You know what I mean? My brain always goes back to the military, and we always use the term shoot, move, and communicate. And if you can do those 3 things, you can win a battle. You can win a basketball game. It's the exact same concept. If you work as a team, if you can shoot, move, and communicate, you will take down most teams. And he's not communicating well. That's one of the big
That's
3.
why the Warriors are so great.
Yep. If you stand on the sidelines, for those of you who've never been close to the game, close to the action, first off, I'd say go to Vegas, sit through Summer League, watch those games, because you can sit. It's like a high school gymnasium. I don't care how much money you have, $15, you can sit one row off the action. But if you've never been there and you listen to the good teams, don't watch it. Close your eyes for a minute and listen, and you can follow the action of a good team without ever opening your eyes, because they're talking to each other. They're telling each other where they are. And that's important. And again, I don't think a lot of people notice the little stuff like that, where close your eyes for 1 full minute of a game. Close your eyes and just listen. Even on TV, if you can close it and tune out the crowd, just listen to the sneakers and the talking, and you'll know what's happening on a good team, and you won't on a bad team. So that's that.
Exactly.
That's I'll preach.
So what are our, I would say, predictions for 2019? We have 1 more game to go in 2018. What do you expect, Joe?
Okay, here's my prediction. Again, and I said earlier, if Sunday they can pull off a win in Los Angeles. Wow, I almost said Las Vegas. My brain's on Vegas now. I'm thinking about slot machines and happiness. If they can pull off a win there, they're going to do. I think they're actually going to make it. I think that is One of those games, and I can't say that that'll be the one, but I think if they do that, it'll be a huge step towards them making it all the way. And they're not going to go much past, first round team. They're not good enough. People shouldn't get excited and say this is the year. Nah, it's not. But it's the first time in a long time that they have a shot, that they have a real shot. One of the things we didn't hit in the the good, the bad, and the ugly kind of category is they're giving up the most rebounds to opposing teams. I said they're getting better at rebounds. They are. But defensively, they're giving up too many. If they can tighten that up, they're going to win a lot more games. And if that's the case, 2019 could be a really good year for them.
And I'm going to stand by what I said last night. They will make the playoffs. I am a believer for the first time. I've always been against that and saying that publicly because my credibility does stay on the line. I
got the jump in the Sacramento River because of it. So I made that bet 2 or 3 years ago when I thought they had a shot. I don't say that out loud anymore. Yeah.
I do remember that, as a matter of fact.
It was a rough afternoon. It was freezing. It was like, oh, God. Good times. Memories.
So before we end the show, what has been your biggest takeaway from the season? There's something so specific that we can point out and say, you know what, that is a major reason why. And the obvious is De'Aaron Fox, but something besides De'Aaron Fox, a major reason why they have surprised so many teams and so many executives and just the entire NBA world as a whole.
So everybody points to their pace. Of course, they're young, they can go fast. They are a fast team. Like even for their age, they're a fast team. I get that. Everybody points to, hey, their shooting's been better. There's so many different things, but I'm gonna come back to front office stuff. It's the picture is coming together. So the pieces fit. That makes a team instead of you have one point guard who's playing well, or you have one shooting guard. Because you're talking about De'Aaron made a leap and a bound. Great, that's outstanding. But without the whole puzzle around him, it doesn't matter. And everybody is playing better together. They're playing better as a squad. And that's hard to beat. It doesn't matter that you have a point guard who plays great if there's nobody around him to distribute to. If there's nobody, they're playing as a squad, man. They like playing. I said a minute ago, for a good team, close your eyes, listen. For a good team, watch the bench when they make that shot last night. Don't watch the players on the floor. Watch the guys who've already been pulled, game's over, that you're just sitting there. Watch those guys' reaction and how excited they are now. Oh my God, my friend just made a shot. That is the difference. They're having fun together. They're playing a game, man. They're playing basketball.
Great point. Great.
And they're having fun on the bench. It's outstanding to watch.
Great point. And you're right. Even in that locker room, Buddy Hield, who was awful last night, got pulled, and he was the guy yelling inside the locker room, saying "Black boy, black." You know how he talks, and he was so. It was awesome to see and experience, because obviously me being in locker room for a long time now, you didn't see that synergy when DeMarcus Cousins was there. Honest to God, it wasn't there. And now everyone is happy, genuinely happy for each other. And it's just an awesome thing to see, not only as a reporter, but as a fan of the team. And I love that. And again, that's one of my biggest things. They genuinely like each other. I was talking to one of the assistant coaches as well, and he said this is one of the best groups he's ever coached. And those are big words from coach. And I love this coaching staff. And another thing that I forgot to mention about Bogey was this one scout, I forget who it was, but when he came, was it last year? And he has scouted him for years, and he said this guy has big balls. And excuse my language, but it's just like, yeah, people know how tough he is, and there's only a few guys in the NBA you can say live for these moments, and this guy genuinely lives for these moments. But to answer my own question about what has been my biggest takeaway besides De'Aaron Fox is the improvement of Buddy Hield. The fact that he can now facilitate for others, and I said this last night, Kyle Kuzma to me was Buddy Hield last year. He can score at will, but he has tunnel vision. He missed so many plays last night where he had Lonzo open or he had Josh Hart open.
Oh my God, there was one dunk that should
and he just, as great of a scorer that he is, he lacks that part of his game, which again, he's barely in the second season, just like Buddy. He's going to improve. And shout out to the Lakers. I mean, they have a nice young nucleus there as well. Besides LeBron James, they have a nice little trio of guys, just like the Kings do. And again, I said this last night, it's going to be fun to see Kings Lakers in the playoffs in the very near future.
So I did miss one thing in the reason they've gotten better. And I don't know how I missed it because I'm an intangibles guy. Confidence. They finally have I mean, they enjoy playing together, and that's outstanding, but they finally believe they can win. And that is, if you believe it, it can do it. I mean, I'm going to use one of them stupid posts. If you believe it, you can achieve it. Like, I don't mean to be that dude. You know what I mean? Like I'm that poster on the wall. But it's real. I mean, there's a reason those things do sell, is because that's a real thing. And when you believe it, you really can win. And they're doing it. By the way, I'm looking behind you. I'm seeing that lion, and I can't believe that you got that home, because that had to be a hell of a. But yeah, we'll talk later. But I just know I'm like looking at my screen, and I'm like, that was.
I purposely put that shit right there. He's looking at you, Joe. Watch out, man.
Right on, right on. But no, it's really fun to watch these guys do well, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. You just hit it on the head with the Lakers getting better. It's going to be fun to see a rivalry, and to have a team to quote unquote hate, to have the Warriors are too good right now. Well, the Warriors are too good right now. Like, it's not fun to have a rivalry with a team that has 4 or 5 all-stars playing. Like,
right.
Yay. It's hard when you start the season knowing who's going to the finals. And it's not fun. It's fun when there's some parity in the league. When give it 2-3 years, when the Lakers are good, when the Kings are good, hopefully when the Warriors are still good but less good. You know what I mean? Like, not deadly. And there can be a game where the 1 through the 5 seeds are up in the air, and going into the last month of the season, it's a race, not a okay, well, there's that. It's October, and you're like, well, I'll see you in Oakland, and I'll see you in Oakland here in the when it's over. And I see that coming. I see some of these teams getting better, and the Lakers are one of them. You're talking about Kyle Kuzma. God darn, man, watching him in summer league, a while ago, and seeing that, you just saw it minute 1. He got on the court, and you're like, that's one of those kids. And they have another guy. Well, I'm not going to get into it because we could go off on a whole other tangent, but they have a couple kids coming up that are looking really, really good. And,
yes,
the Kings do, the Lakers do. There's 2 or 3 other teams out there that, man, Philly, oh my God.
Right.
They're dirty. And they grew it themselves. And I like that. I like watching teams grow from nothing into something, not buying talent a la the Yankees in baseball, like, hey, you're good, come here, no, like, grow it up. And it's going to be fun to have that rivalry again. It's going to be fun to have, some reason to cheer when you go to the game, some actual belief that every single game, every single ticket you hold as a season ticket holder is a chance to win. So.
And a quick shout out to Iman Shumpert, who I wasn't very high on, and I'll admit that he's done a great job, a marvelous job. He's brought that swagger to his team.
Bro, he's that
dog right. He's that dog that this team needs. Yeah. And just again, shout out to my man. He was
yelling yesterday.
To be around.
He was yelling yesterday. You were texting me when he was doing it. Like, he was letting people know when they were doing wrong, and that's. Part of being a good teammate isn't yelling when your friends do good. It's also letting them know when they jacked up.
Right.
And fixing it and letting them know that it's not going to be tolerated when you take shots you shouldn't have taken, when you get selfish, when you aren't passing the ball, hey, I want to see you clap for your boy, but I also want to see you chew his ass a little bit. And it's nice to see him doing it. So, but that's again, preach.
That's another conversation. Yeah, that's another conversation for another show. I appreciate you coming on and joining the show, my man. That's going to do it, guys. Again, don't forget to visit Valley Tire Center. Check them out on Instagram. Check them out on Facebook. They're always giving out great deals. They're doing free tire balancing right now if you mention that you heard about them on the Cowbell Kingdom platforms. That's going to do it, guys. On behalf of the entire CK team, thank you guys so much for joining in. There was about 33 people the whole time. A lot more that will listen to this once they get out of work. It is a Friday, guys. It is early, and it was an unexpected podcast. I was like, you know what, Joe? You want to do a podcast? Sure. Let's do it.
So I mentioned it earlier. I got to throw it out there. Watch. My brain. I actually did a podcast from Topgolf earlier because that's my life. But listen to Game Time Decision. It's our new podcast. It's our new DFS podcast. It is on Dash Radio 1 o'clock on Fridays, and we break down the biggest slate of the week every week. And we're gonna try to do more, but it's so much fun. It's basically the conversation we always have off the air, only we're putting it on the air for people now. So sorry, that was my plug of the day.
That sounds fun. Definitely recommend you guys tuning into that show. You said it was from Topgolf?
Yeah, so Vince was actually recording it because usually I do it in the studio here. Right. But I was at Topgolf, so I just did it off my phone today, and we were live at 1 o'clock today. It's 1 o'clock every Friday. And yeah, I record from wherever I'm at, dude. I'm not, you guys have like real gigs. I'm recording from usually my studio, but yeah, today from the golf facility. So it was a pretty rough gig.
So that's gonna do it, guys. Thank you guys so much again for tuning in. This show will be on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, TuneIn Radio, all those platforms. You guys can leave us a review and let us know how we're doing. I apologize for not. This is the first podcast in a while. But again, 2019, we're going to get running. It's going to be a great year, guys. And we thank you guys for all the support that you guys have given us all season long, all of 2018. And last night was a cherry on top from Bogdan Bogdanovic. Thank you guys so much. And we'll see you guys on the next episode.